I'm Jamie from an Oregon cottage, and I'm here to show you step by step how easy it is to can your own food. I did not grow up canning food, but I learned, and as long as you follow the directions and stick to recipes, it's super safe and it's a perfect way to take care of the produce that you grow or get at farmers markets. So after you've figured out your produce and what you're going to make, and for this demonstration, I'm going to be making pickled beans. You can do any kind of jams, jellies. They're great first recipes for when you're just learning canning. So you want to get all of your equipment together first thing. And the thing I always like to start with is the jars. And you want to get canning jars that fit whatever size your recipe says, pint, half pint. And you want to wash them very well. And then you want to rinse them and then set them in the sink filled with the hottest water from your tap so they stay warm. The other major thing that you need is the canner or a large stock pot to hold your jars. They're very easy to find at thrift stores. They're very inexpensive, these enamelware canners. And you need a rack to fit inside, either one that comes up on the top or a type that just sits in the bottom. But you need something to lift the jars up off the bottom of the pot. Okay, there's a couple other things you need for canning, and I like to set all of these little things up next to my stove using a small tray. It really helps to contain the mess and protect your countertop. So a couple of the special canning items are a canning funnel, and these are bigger to fit over the jar than other normal funnels. Most canning funnels are plastic, but I really like metal because we're dealing with hot liquids here, and it's best to have metal for that. This is a jar lifter. It's made specifically for canning, and don't try to use tongs. I did, and I lost a jar. These are really secure, and they'll make sure that your hot jars get where you want them. You'll need rings and lids. You can reuse the rings every year, but lids have to be brand new each time that you use them. All you have to do now with lids is just to wash them with soapy water, and then they can sit waiting. It used to be you had to sit them in water and let them soak, but that's old. As a couple years ago, the USDA said you didn't need to do that anymore. So have those washed and ready. Okay, then you're going to need a couple of other just regular kitchen items. So a ladle, and you want to make sure to do metal if you have it, again, because we're dealing with hot things, and a spatula, and this time it has to be non-metallic. So this will be running around the edge of the jar, which you'll see. So they specify non-metallic for that. And you'll want either paper towel or rag that's moistened for wiping the lid. Get all your stuff ready first, and then you're set. Okay, when it's time to fill your jars, you've got all your equipment ready. For pickling, you're going to empty the water, and you're going to pack the jars one at a time, fill them one at a time. But if you're just doing a jam or a sauce, you just would empty your jars and start filling it. So you're going to put your canning funnel on top. You're going to go ahead and fill it with your liquid. And the one thing with canning is they talk about head space, and you can only put your liquid to whatever the recipe specifies for head space. And I would suggest using a ruler until you get familiar with where the head space is typically on a jar. This one calls for a 1/2 inch head space, and so that's just right above this, and I can put a little bit more in there. Then after you've filled your jar, you can run your non-metallic spatula around just to get rid of air bubbles, things like that. Then you want to make sure that your rim of your jar is clean with your towel so that if any of the stuff got on it, it's not going to interfere with the seal. Put your lid on there, screw the band on, just fingertip tight, not too loose, not too tight, and then set your jar in your simmering water. Your canner should already have simmering water in it. This is one of the reasons I like the rack that stays up here, is because I can just set the jars on there and then put them all down at once. If your rack sits at the bottom, go ahead and use the jar lifter to put them in as well as take them out. Okay, so finish filling your jars and setting them in your rack, and when it comes time when you're all finished, if you have a rack like this, you can set them all down in it. You have to make sure that the water is 1 inch above the top of the jars, and if it's not, go ahead and put some more water in it. You can use boiling water that you have ready or water from the tap. It might take longer for them to come to boil, so it's always nicer to have your boiling water ready. Then you put your lid on and keep it on high, and you don't start timing it until it's already at a boil. So you wait for it to come to a boil, then you start timing it from what the recipe says. This recipe is 10 minutes, so I would set my timer for 10 minutes. But I'd also lower the temperature so that it's not at a really hard boil. So on my electric stove, it's about 7 or 8. It stays at just a nice rolling boil. So you can't walk away from it. You have to kind of monitor it and make sure that it's boiling, but not so hard that your jars are knocking together. So just keep a monitor on it, and we'll see you when these are done. Okay, the timer went off. I have a towel-lined tray here. You can do them right on the counter if you want, but make sure there's a towel for them to sit on. You want to turn your heat off as soon as the temperature goes off, and take the lid off. This is when you'll want to use your jar lifters, and you just take the jars out one at a time. Set them gently on your towel-lined surface. And then what you'll want to do is move, that's why I like to have them on a tray, that's a little tip, is I like to move them to a place in the kitchen where they're not going to get disturbed at all. So you want them to not move for 24 hours. And then after the 24 hours is up, you're going to check your jars and check the lids and make sure they're all sealed, and then you're going to label them and store them. We've eaten, especially pickled goods, we've eaten them a year and a half, but it's always good to always put a date on your lids so that you know when that year is up and you can determine when you want to eat them. So in just about 45 minutes, we have pickled beans to enjoy throughout the year. And it's really easy to can. I hope you've learned that here. I have step-by-step instructions that you can read through on my blog, as well as recipes for this pickled beans and lots more easy, doable recipes for canning your produce that you either grow yourself or you buy.